What's up everybody, Americana back here with another video. As we always do to start the week, let's go ahead and dive into Ethereum's price action. We'll talk about how we closed last week, as well as what to expect next week. So let's get straight in. All right guys, similar to what we were looking for on Bitcoin, we did get this move down into this liquidity. If you didn't catch the video last week, we can talk about what we were looking at to get down here, but we had this SFP show up on Sunday or get confirmed last Sunday. And then we're saying, hey, we could potentially be looking for a short down to the target would have been this level. But my kind of thought was like, hey, if we are going to get a move down, we're probably, or I would like to just get a move down into this liquidity as it was. We did not get the confirmation on the SFP until Sunday's closed there. And then as you guys can see in here, we just kind of went straight down for it. There was no real entry, no real short entry into that move, which was pretty frustrating. And Ethereum actually grabbed it earlier than Bitcoin, but Ethereum had kind of a larger pocket of liquidity. It seems to be left unswept, but we will talk about this liquidity in today's video. We'll show it. Sometimes people close positions and stuff like that, and that stuff can kind of shift, which is, I think, kind of what we're currently seeing. But I do have it still marked on here for potentially, one more little sweep in there. But yeah, there was no daily entry for our weekly to daily swing model, which was kind of frustrating. We got down in here and price just kind of condensed for the rest of the week. And then here on the Sunday close, we just kind of slammed into it. So no real short position, even though that was a good short, which was a little bit frustrating, I suppose. You could have taken a short in here on this daily swing model and just kind of held it once that weekly swing model was confirmed, but I did not catch that, or I did not take position on that. So a little bit unfortunate, but that's okay for me. When it comes to my current Ethereum positions, I am positioned from right here, targeting new all-time highs. Stop is, I don't remember the exact stop, if I'm being honest. I think it's somewhere kind of below that. So about 4.5 RR, 75% trade if we do make new all-time highs on Ethereum. So yeah, I didn't really have any new positions to open while I was in here. I kind of already max risk or put in what I was comfortable on this trade in here. And also wasn't too, I was bummed to see price pull back, obviously, but it was never like, oh my goodness, am I going to get stopped, right? Nothing like that. So I'm just kind of back to where I was 2 weeks ago, which seems to be the case with a lot of longs recently. But it just is what it is while we work this out. So let's go ahead and dive into liquidity as well. All right, so I have Ethereum pulled up right here. This is Ethereum on the 7-day time frame. Most of this liquidity ended up getting swept. Is this that small pocket that we were talking about? Does that need to get swept to the downside? Potentially. But clearly you can see a lot of skewed liquidity to the upside, meaning there's a lot of shorts currently in Ethereum and really just in the market in general. Going out to the 30-day becomes even more clear where the bias of the market is. Just like we pointed to these liquidation levels getting us down to here. Now, let's work on liquidating these bears as well. And this highest one here is 3,200, 3,250, and that's about $4.8 billion in liquidations. So where's 3,250 on the chart? Right about there where we kind of started that weekly breakdown. So very interesting to see. Another thing I wanted to point out was Bitcoin did sweep this high before moving lower. Ethereum did not. So do we have some sort of equal highs situation where we can assume that price could potentially return there? I do see it as a possibility. And again, this is also within the context of what I'm seeing on the macro. If you're macro bullish, if you're bullish on Ethereum or you're bullish on the market, dips are where you should be buying. So make sure you check out my other videos this week when it comes to overall macro bullish. But yeah, that's kind of where the market is at currently in that regard. All right, when it comes to Ethereum's heat map, you can see this liquidation level that we had pointed out very clearly, did get tapped out. This was Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, it was Wednesday. Nothing too glaring to report now. It's kind of rare that Ethereum liquidation levels this hot, at least on CoinGlass. Probably need to, if I'm going to be making videos on this stuff, probably need to buy a little bit more robust place to look at liquidity. So I think I have it on my schedule to work on that this week. But like I said, potentially a little bit more lower. Let's see. I'm sorry. It's at 27.75. It looks like there could be some there. But you can also see it similar to, make sure you check out the Bitcoin one as well. Similar to Bitcoin, you can also see it up here heating up, heating up at these same levels, similar to Bitcoin's price as well. I do think that bar chart on Ethereum is going to be a little bit more telling, kind of just doing a better job of showing you where that skew is at. When it comes to Ethereum, actually, with some indicators slapped on, we can go ahead and dive into that now. I also mentioned this on the Bitcoin video, but there's really nothing special to talk about currently. In here, right, this whole time in here, right, I'm kind of like, guys, stay bullish. Momentum is still rising, even though the market is boring, blah, blah, blah. We still had, rising momentum at that time. But yeah, nothing really too special to talk about currently. Ethereum on the weekly time frame when it comes to momentum, currently flat from last week, but it is, only the first day of the week. So definitely, watch to see how the week ends up on this. Did get a little, tick down right here with this kind of nasty weekly close we had in here, but we're still within the same range, still range bound. We haven't broken to the downside, retested. We haven't broken above and retested. I mentioned in my Bitcoin video, hey, when it comes to this kernel regression band, seems like we're getting these kind of moves in here. We have done the same thing on Ethereum. We have moved inside of this regression band. We have retested the lower boundary of the regression band, and we did hold. So does that mean we have to kind of like chop around in here and then we can move up? I'm not exactly sure yet, but it was really good to see this kind of hold, even though we had gotten into it. I can show past examples of this, but I'm trying to keep these a little bit more concise. So kind of just source, trust me, bro, on this. But just good to see that happening on there. On the 5-day time frame, very similar things, actually getting this regression band to even curl up a little bit and kind of starting to squeeze down. So how does this play out? TBD. We definitely need to look out for that in the coming weeks, in the coming days. We did get this little kick down, but on the 5-day, right, this does, can you guys see this over here? This does somewhat tend to happen in here. This was actually a bearish example, so probably just ignore that. This was bullish though. 3-day time frame. I just have like a quick explainer on this. Well, even on Bitcoin chart too, we had this 3-day buy signal show up. And if we are not in a bear market, again, for other reasons that we talk about in other videos, if we're not in a bear market, it's good to have those buy signals show up, especially during times like this. But I want to do a quick lesson because I'm sure at some point in the future it'll come up as well. On this indicator, on this momentum histogram that you see down here, the way this works, to get sell signals and buy signals, right, we have to have these crosses, and we have to have the cross within the regime that matches it, within the higher time frame regime that matches it. So 3-day time frame on momentum on the 3-day time frame on Ethereum is currently down, but I do want to point out we have these sell approaching signals, but we do not have a regime to match it, and that's something very important to look out for. We've had nothing but bullish regimes show up in here. We don't have anything on the red side of things quite yet. So even if this ends up being just a blank, no regime at all, no regime detectable, this sell signal wouldn't fire. And oftentimes when you don't have the regime to match, or you haven't been in bearish regimes and you get these sell signals, it's not that they're false signals, but you can actually use them as the inverse of like momentum is overly bearish or oversold or something like that, and actually use it to find a bottom. So potential for that in here on Ethereum, and that would be something that is very nice to see. Again, daily time frame and just in general, really nothing special to talk about. We did have a CME gap get filled on Ethereum. You can see that right there, right? Did get filled, one of the lower ones, but we did have kind of two stacked up against each other. Still yet to be filled. Do we need to go sweep that extra little bit of liquidity? I kind of mentioned that in the video as well. When it comes to positioning, where to position, how you can position, what the opportunities are, I do think this monthly open is going to be key, and you might want to mark this on your charts. This is the open from Wednesday, December 31st, obviously. I think it should be a little bit over, but 1 day over. I don't know why it's adding like that. But anyways, flipping this monthly open could be pretty key. You'll probably want to mark that because it's going to change come the new month, which is the end of this week. We have some CME gaps above us. We have one right here, we have one right here, we have one right here. So if you are kind of a, CME gaps have to be filled kind of person, what would you be looking out for as well? You'd have to say this one gets filled, but you'd also have 3 above you that needed filling. So I did jump the gun a little bit in here when we started getting this to kind of curl up in here. Got a little bit overly bullish. I did drop a swing trade in the Discord for those that wanted to take it. Very similar to my trade as well. Same thing, targeting the all-time high. Sorry, it's a short. That would have been right in there somewhere. And then similar stop on that as well. Still a 3.3 RR, still a 67% trade. I think mine was like 77 or something. So not too far off on that. And yeah, you're basically just making a bet that this range is going to hold. You're placing your bet in or near the range low, and you let that thing ride. And if you're somebody who thinks we're not in a bear market, really anywhere underneath this monthly open is not a bad place to take a zero leverage, just swing position, because that is going to be anywhere from 66% to, let's say you took it from right here, 75 currently. If you wait for the range lows, just a little bit more. So not a bad idea in my opinion. And if you want more influence for that, you can definitely go check out my other videos on the macro side of things. But yeah, I think we can go ahead and wrap it up here. Like I said, I apologize. There's not really any actionable items. I did point to some liquidity to the upside, to some CME gaps to the upside. So that would be really nice to see. Daily momentum seems like it's down ticked a little bit right now. But if we could get a decent push, maybe close this CME gap tomorrow or something crazy like that, we could see a actual start to curl on the daily side of things. So if you want updates on that, like I said, make sure you join my free Discord. If something like that does happen, I will make sure to update you guys. But we can go ahead and wrap it up here. Try to keep it short, try to keep it simple. And yeah, make sure you check out my other videos, join the free Discord. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.